back to A Well-Designed Business. My name is Luann Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company Window Works from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Today, I'm joined by Regan Baker, owner of Regan Baker Design, located in San Francisco, California. Regan leads a team of 20 people, which, of course, is impressive. But what is particular and interesting about this team is that 3 employees were once clients of hers. Each came from industries other than the interior design industry, and each, after working with Regan on their homes, wanted to be part of her company. Regan's company is a clear example of when you put systems in place and create an exceptional client experience, along with fostering positivity in your relationships, you benefit in more ways than one. I'm delighted to introduce you to Regan Baker. Hey, Regan, thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Thanks, Luann. It's really great to be here.
Yeah.
I'm very excited to chat.
I am too. And, I have to tell you, I was looking at your website, lady. I was getting tired just looking at it. Like, I have to say, we have a team at Window Works of 16 people now, and your team is up to 20. Your website has 17, but you told me that you're up to 20. And
Yes.
I do this with my husband, with my son-in-law, with Kim and Billy and Carlos, and there's always somebody else. Like, I feel like it's like when you're at the versus a single parent versus a 2-parent household. It's like, just that extra set of hands to manage all the things. And I'm
Exactly.
thinking 20 people and you're the head, what in charge. That's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy. I think, had someone asked me, 15 years, we'll be 16 next year, but, that I'd be this, medium-sized firm, I don't think I would have believed them. So, lots to, dive in and talk about, a lot of people have come my way. My husband actually is now working for me. So that's one of the guys who's a not a client, but he's worked in the tech industry, and it definitely takes a village. So
Yes,
wouldn't be
right.
here without them.
Well, yeah, no, I get that, but it's still, I think, pretty remarkable to look, if somebody's listening and they have 2 employees, I'm sure that they're thinking, my goodness, that would be hard to imagine or hard to do. But doing that, I'm there. You know what I mean? 4
Yeah,
people away is not a lot away, but
it's not.
just thinking about being the one in charge of everything, it's overwhelming. I have to say, and I give you a lot of credit for doing it. And you seem to be doing a heck of a good job at it, which, to the point of the title of this podcast, where we're talking about how you have clients that have now become trusted, valuable employees to you. You're going to tell me how and why and all the things, but my brain just says that really, to me, speaks to a well-run business. It speaks to a tight operation, because we don't, we have the way we do business and how we show up for our client.
Hmm.
And it's like, I always say on the show, it's like J-Lo, showing up in, Vogue. She's got tape everywhere. I mean, she's still J-Lo. She's still gorgeous. Like, let's be serious, right? But it's not exactly the way it looks to us. And I feel like a lot of times that's what it is to be an entrepreneur. When you're delivering that really terrific client experience, you're really doing it. So J-Lo is actually objectively gorgeous, right? But
She is.
there's things that you're just like, well, you don't have to know that part, right? But when you
Right.
hire a
long.
client to come into the back end of your business?
Yep.
That's pretty crazy.
Yeah, I when I first hired my first client, she actually proposed to me. Really, was like having such a great time. But I was worried about airing my dirty laundry, is what I used to say. Everybody gets to see kind of how the sausage is made, and it's something that you know that you try to hide, I guess, from clients because you want them to feel like we're doing things at ease. And
Yes.
but everybody knows that that's it's not an easy job, and to make a process smoothly, especially like a renovation, um, go smooth. And so it's just been, yeah, been
Yeah.
been a part of, I'd say, a lot of why I am so service and process oriented, and have this idea of operations, of a core, strong operations for RBD. I think it's really important, and one of the reasons why I think a lot of our clients have come on board, because they actually see
Yeah.
they
And
value that.
yes, and so the thing about it is the first client that became an employee, what was the role?
So yeah, it was just me and three other employees at the time, and then we were working on her house. She was pregnant. She was at Facebook, and she realized, on the back end, that she could make my business much better, and just in terms even of, like, Excel sheets, things, processes, and having
Mm.
having things be more organized, and record keeping, all of that. But she came in and proposed to me, to become like the director of operations for me, and she was kind of also like an EA as well, because we were small enough where she could actually play a lot of roles.
Mm.
But it was, hard for me. I really loved working with her, and she really loved the process. Loved, even finding things. Her husband is like an art collector, and he enjoyed, bringing things to the table as well. And so, but her director of operations, title, I think I wasn't planning on actually having somebody like that for 10 to 15 years, and she kept bugging me, wanting to know, because she wanted to leave Facebook. And she's like, I need to know if this is something that I should keep pursuing. And so she kind of nudged me, and I was like, you know what, I'm going to have you interview with my business consultant at the time. And he was like, she's definitely your yang. I think you should hire her. And so I actually paid her more at the time than myself, because I just knew it was the right move. And I actually am a firm believer that you risk things for people that you think are going to actually help transform something. So yeah, she came
Wow.
on came on board as the director of operations and a project manager, and she just basically had a can-do attitude and literally helped make things happen. So
Now, I have to say, all of that makes total sense to me, right? I understand the fear and the little bit of cautiousness about hiring a director of operations when you've got, what did you have at the time? Is it 3 other employees?
yeah,
Yeah.
three other
So that's
designers.
that's just at the point in my experience in the different businesses that, I've been a part of growing and running. That's just at the point where it does feel like, "Oh my goodness, I need a mom for this group." Like, I don't wanna be the mom for everybody,
Exactly.
right? Like, right?
Exactly.
Right? But I also know from experience, it also doesn't feel like the right time yet. It's like there's
Oh
not
yeah,
enough people here to
exactly.
justify this, right? Yeah. So
Yep.
that's what you said you're meant saying that you felt as well.
Yes. I just didn't understand, how somebody, I thought her proposition was amazing, and I was just like, how is this person going to come in and kind of transform things? But her she came from a background of five employees at Facebook, and she are employees for her team, and she grew it to 5,000. So she knew how to grow a team. I knew I wanted to grow. I didn't know how much I wanted to grow, but I knew I wanted somebody, if I was going to hire somebody, to help me understand why slow growth is important, and kind of who I was as a person. She always called me the visionary, and she was the executor.
Mm.
But she definitely was one person who I have and I will always continue to admire, because she really made me understand kind of who I was as a designer person, how I lead, and what the importance was of culture and community, within a team,
Wow.
which I think is really probably the most valuable thing that anybody who is running any type of business is having, people who want to. I'm a huge fan and want people to stay forever at my firm.
Mm.
And I know, of course, there's always natural attrition, and young people will move on to grow, but it's always a goal of mine to try and have people stay forever. And
Mm.
she was great at helping me understand and realize that, and also facilitate my core values and missions
Wow.
for the company. Yeah.
Okay, so digging into that a little bit, was it at that point you did not have your mission and your vision and core values enunciated, and the difference with her was having you sit down and think it through and writing them and documenting them and then starting to execute on them, or you had them but they were sort of like in your mind and on the wall, but you didn't hire according, like what was the aha in
Yeah,
there?
no, that's a great question. I would definitely had, so I actually have a twin sister, and
Hmm.
she's really good at like, kind of brainstorming and trying to get things out of me in terms of mission and kind of why I love my job and what the core values of the business wanted to be. I wrote them down on the website, but I never really understood or thought that, as a team, of 4 or 5 people, that it was necessary to hire for those types of core values. And silly enough, you think that that's an obvious thing, but when you're just needing some help, it's
Mm.
easy to just grab somebody that you need. But yeah, Allie was really, really awesome because she coming from Facebook, she knew how to. We actually had our first like team offsite, for example, and she
Mm.
put together this entire deck presentation of kind of what our mission was, what the goal was for the firm for the next, 1 to 3 years, 3 to 5 years, next 10 years. And so she really made me sit down and say, what do you want? And what do you want this firm to look like in 10 years? What do you want to look like in 1 year? So she really made me sit down and kind of think about projection and trajectory of RBD as a business. And do I want to be a small team? Do I want to be a large team? Do I want to be, what is it that I want? And she was really great at articulating that, and then also condensing it down, writing it down so that the entire team could actually visually see that at our offsite. And
Wow.
she, it was really great because she was awesome about understanding how important sharing that information with the team, even though as a business owner, you don't think people care, but actually they do, and they really like to see and be a part of something that's more transparent, but also that you have the values, and they understand if they're aligned or not. I think a lot easier and sooner if they're involved in that you know team structure, team building, all of that.
Yeah, it's funny. I think that for anyone listening that's never been through that experience, it's like, okay, get to the good stuff, keep talking, get forward. Like, I know it. I know it. It feels like, all right, let's have an offsite. But when you've done it,
Exactly.
right, Reagan, when
It
you've
is
done it,
so true.
it is like, oh, this is not just a waste of time. This is
Yeah.
so important to
It
do.
really is the most important thing. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, really, honestly, I never thought how important it was, but I think it also resets to every year my mind and thinking, because, as a very service driven, operational person, I we it's what's nice about it is, Ali set up this, you track your goals. Did we achieve those goals? And you get to see how you rate yourself for how we actually achieved something last year, and how we want to do the same things? Do we need to core look at things and do them differently this year? Or, what are our strengths and weaknesses this year? Pandemic was definitely one of those things where it's like, wow, but it was awesome to be able to have, you know, a yearly annual sit down to look like how we achieved our goals,
Yeah.
and to be a part of that as a team. I think everybody gets excited to see when you meet them and when you don't, and it's a nice goal for the next year to make
Mm.
sure we do hit those.
And you learn things about
Yeah,
employees during those meetings, don't
you
you, that you
do.
would never, ever know, right?
Exactly. Well, we do a lot of the personality tests, and we
Mm,
share as
us
well.
too, yeah.
Yeah. And so you find out, oh, I'm like this person. Oh, I'm not like this person. And you're like, oh, wait, I see. That's why they actually, are very
Mhm.
quiet. They're an introvert,
Yes.
or that's why they're very, outgoing. And it's nice because you do, it does, as a person who's hiring and leading the team, it's nice to it's a nice reminder
Yes.
for
And
those.
I know in us doing it and that process over the years is that, you know, you do learn. You know what I'm going to say? And maybe it sounds obvious, but I think as a younger entrepreneur, when you have that one person or two people on the team that are super quiet and this and that and the other thing, you can think they don't care, that they just show up, they do their job and they don't care. But you're like,
Yeah.
wait, but they do their job so good when they're here. Wow, how could they not care? And you spend time as the owner. I know I've spent time as the owner debating that. And then
Yeah.
when we started to function with the personality profiles, it was like, oh, because they're
Oh.
not a loud lunatic like you does not
Yeah.
mean they don't care, you know?
Exactly. Yep. And I think it's nice to know that you're not. I mean, if you were all the same, it'd be a boring team.
Right, exactly. Or are really unmanageable.
Exactly.
Right?
Yep.
Okay, and so then how many years have you done the offsite now? So Allie came in, she started this with you, and how many years has it been that going on?
It's a great, so 7, 8, 8
8
years.
years.
Yep.
And in the process of doing the offsite, I would say that 2 things are really important, and I'm wondering how you manage those,
Mhm.
is the follow-up to the offsite, like, it's all
Oh,
exciting
yeah.
that day, it's
Yep.
all exciting that day, and the accountability for the, follow-up, and then secondarily, when you do lay out your goals and you say in 1 year this and in 3 years that, and then by the end of the 2nd year, you're like, I don't want that goal that I said for 3 years anymore." Like, have you had
Right.
those 2 situations?
Yeah. So we always like to send over our document to everybody to so that they can actually access it and see it on a yearly basis. Um, I am a huge person about on refinement of a process, and
Mm,
so and or to your point, like, this is a great idea, do I still think this is a great idea? And we have an operations meeting every Monday with the team, where we don't necessarily bring up this mission statement, this team offsite document, but I do reference it. And
mm,
it's a reminder for everybody to, remember, oh, yeah, we have so many photo shoots that we need to do this
mm,
year in order to meet our goal. Or there's a document that we have an RBD index that Crystal from our team, implemented for everybody who can just, if they have questions, they can just look for it in this, online Google Doc. And is that being upheld? Does that need to be updated? All of this. So we constantly are, we have a person who I've just recently hired who was a previous employee. He started his own business, and now he's actually helping us run the standards process as a part-time employee, while he is also building furniture on the side.
mm,
But those types of things, I do think, even though we're not constantly, it's not like a yes, we sit down and go and review the document back again. It's because we have these, and it's kind of ingrained in me now for the past 8 years. We
mm,
actually, it's kind of a natural thing for me to remind everybody at the operational meeting, or in our management meetings, that
right.
this was a goal. How are we tracking and trending? And a lot of this stuff, we're doing service fee estimates, high and lows, but we now have data that we're backing and tracking against that now. So there's a lot of things that, goal wise, that I wanted to do, and we are implementing now. And I think that just is because we have this goal setting and record keeping of what we want to do, and it's just now ingrained kind of in
Mm,
a me, because we've been doing it for 8 years, and the
right.
format's still the same. So it's easy. It just becomes kind of habit in a way.
Mm. So, and right, well, you have, developed your leadership muscle is basically what I'm hearing,
Yeah, that's a
right?
great that's exactly right. Yeah.
Good for you. That's
Yeah.
awesome. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's terrific. And the thing is also just to, go back to one of the first points, when Allie came on, you only had 3 other employees. So you
Mhm.
did this with 5 of you. You as the
Correct.
5th person. So it wasn't like, "Oh, well, when we're a big team of 12, then this will be important." This is important. And
Exactly.
in hindsight, would you say that if you had the background that Allie had, you
Mhm.
know, you could have done it with yourself and 3 employees or yourself and 2 employees. Like, you needed Allie to come in and introduce yourself to this, to introduce you to this idea, this concept, and show you the value of
Yeah,
this. But if you knew it, you would know. Would you agree that if a designer listening that has 2 employees, it's important?
I do, because as a leader and designer of an interior design firm, we're designers first.
Mm.
And it's not that I don't have this skill set, because I know Allie always would say, you have a great business sense. I don't know how you do it, but you just do. I'm like, but I don't want to do it. You're great at it, and I appreciate it. Because I had a strong, I do have a strong process. I like things to be proactive, in order and
Mm.
organized. But when if I didn't have Allie, and now Lindsay Brown is on our team, if you don't have those people to help guide you, you can't focus on the things you want to do.
Mhm.
And my first employee was my bookkeeper, who is, I believe, the first thing you should do. But the
Yes.
second, I would say, is director of operations. And I don't know if I think the order I did was actually probably perfect, even though I thought it was too soon. Just because this person is just your left brain, right? You're
Right.
the person who can actually be in charge of everything that you appreciate, but you can't do because you need to focus on the artistic side of the business.
Right.
And it's not just artistic; it's also programmatic, and just service side of the business. And to be this person who's leading with the mission, the vision of how you want your office to operate. And if it's, if you don't have this person who's helping you implement that, there's no way we would be where I'm at now. I
Right.
mean, there's just no way.
Well, and that's what the interesting thing is that it's recently, in how the universe lines up and all the conversations, all of a sudden it's like bang, bang, bang,
Yeah.
bang, keeps hitting you over the head. And we had Fernando Duque on the show recently, in the last month or two, and he is the CEO of Duke Renders, and
Mhm.
he referred to it as DIYing your company. It's
That's true.
right? Like, and
Yeah.
and I think that it's very typical for a lot of us to DIY our companies because we are brilliant. We are smart. If you're going to open up your own business, you got something going on right there, right?
Yeah.
Right? And if you are also a talented interior designer on top of the courage and what it takes to open up your own business, there's that level. And what he talked about, like, the Duke Renders went from, in 2 years, opening to over 100 employees and 500 designer
Wow.
clients.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and he said that what
That's
I
some fast growth.
finally yeah, he right, crazy, right? And he said what I finally recognized was the key was to stop DIYing it because I was capable of
That's
figuring
so true.
something out, right? And
Yeah.
but to go get the strong leadership management team in place and let everybody swim in their lanes, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that's it. That is, I could not agree with that more.
Yeah.
It just allows you to really excel at what you want to do most,
Mhm.
and let other people, have the opportunity to actually help lead and take charge of something. So
Mhm.
you don't have to.
Right. Now, go back to, don't think that I didn't hear that, what you said like 22 minutes ago. That when you brought her on, you actually paid her more than you were paying yourself.
Yeah.
That takes some whats. Okay. So,
Yeah, well, I think when you've found um, a golden nugget, and also a friend for
mm,
life as well,
mm,
you really just it's not it becomes not it's I think it's always as well never been about money for me. And I think
mm,
that's one thing that Allie also made me realize, that, do you want to make money, or do you want to, just do a great job? Like, what is your goal? And one of the things that I've, always been, I come from a very modest background, but I've, of course, everybody wants to be successful, and you have to spend money to make money. But I do think having Allie having Allie as a person who is a friend, but also somebody who I realized I really needed. And sometimes you just say, an investment, you have to invest, right?
right.
In certain things in life. And this was just a big investment that I thought that if I wanted to get to a place where I wanted to be really successful in 5 years, I actually needed to invest in her. And if that meant paying her more at the time, I knew it
Mm.
was going to come and help. I would be rewarded in the end.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I think if you can do that, it comes from a better place as well. You're not
Mm.
angry at somebody. You're just like, they're very valuable to you
Right.
because, it's not about a money, not about a
And
dollar
then
sign.
talk about how it actually translated. I listen, I've been around the bush a couple of times. I could sit here and just say, well, let me take a stab at all the ways that the ROI paid off for Reagan. But tell us, you know what I mean? Like, tell us, because until you really recognize how important and how much when you do hire within your core values and you run your business and you remind everybody of the mission and the vision of the business, it's hard to get what that ROI, where does it come? So talk a little bit about, in the hindsight looking back, what were some of the milestones that it created in your business that, it made it that you could look at anybody and say, see, it was worth it to pay her more than I was able to pay myself at the time.
I mean, there's so many, she hired amazing talent for me. She took care of all of that. She, there were so many emails that as a person who is very service oriented, she helped me refine my emails so they were professional and to the point, succinct. She could, she's a woman of few words, but very concise communicator.
Mm.
So she taught me an invaluable lesson on concise communication, but also that no question, even if you are the owner, it's ever dumb to
Mm.
ask for help for. And so even just having her, she would send out emails for me sometimes. So it's more about like if you're a really truly service oriented business and you want things to move forward, the fact that you can hire somebody and have the trust and confidence in somebody to just get it done, I that alone has escalated my business, I think, because people know that I will get it done. And it's because Allie was helping. It's because Lindsay's helping now. I've got, Jace, my husband, is actually now on board, but he's doing the finance portion, IT portion. So it's because these people um, are, investing in these people to help make the process smoother, and everybody in our office want to work there, because if I'm stressed out, everybody's stressed out. And I try not to be, but it's something that I work on, and but I do think it is the most valuable investment return, just because they teach you a lot about
Mm.
yourself and they help you, because that's what they want to do. I mean, depending on the personality, but Allie's, her whole intention was just like, she thought I was amazing. She thought my company and what I stood for was amazing. And she wanted to share that with the world. And I think
Mm.
that is the most invaluable thing you can put, you can't put money on that,
Right.
because when somebody's raving about you and wants you to do well and succeed and be a part of that vision, um, it just speaks volume. And
That's amazing.
it creates, it creates the energy, it creates synergy, it creates so much positivity in a client's experience and a team experience and vendors experience, anybody we touch, whose
Mm.
lives we've touched. It's because you've got somebody who's basically rooting for you.
Yeah, that's amazing. And so when it was time for her to move on and you needed to replace her with Lindsay, was Lindsay on the team already and in a different role? And so therefore she was able to model and saw the
Great
role,
question.
right? Or did you have to go out and find a brand new Allie from scratch?
So, no, this is a great question. So, Allie, Lindsay actually was brought on board more for project management. So Lindsay was also a client, and a client who I would say, I would come home and talk to my husband and say, if she ever wanted to work at Regan Baker Design, I would say yes, because
Wow.
she has, in every meeting, she was concise. She consolidated all our information from her husband. Like, she would go and present the options and then come back with an email or, at the next meeting would say, this is this. I mean, she was the most decisive decision maker. She could, take information, put it together super quick and make a process move forward. So you could tell she's just, and then of course my husband worked with her as well. And so it was nice to hear him that she's like amazing at her job. But I'm losing my train of thought here, but,
So it was, just
So
identifying
Allie,
that role, right? And
yeah,
so you have her, so we are going back, like how do you get Lindsay to come on? She's your client, you're wishing on
yeah.
her. Yeah, go
I know. I
ahead.
might have written a letter in our like thank you, like, hey, if you ever want to, I
You
might have
don't
done
ask, you
that, but I
don't
can't
get,
remember.
Regan, right?
Exactly. But I can't remember if I did. But if I did, great. But it worked. But if not, I think it was just more of she was trying. She was like 8 years at Google and was like, I don't know, if this is what I want to do anymore. And hey, this is something I've thought of, and would it be? I know it's kind of crazy. Where is there a place that you think I could fit in? And so we had a conversation, but basically and I think this is it, like the people you invest in um, are people who even though you don't really have a role for them just quite yet, they can just jump in and figure it out and
Mm,
make it work. And then things just happen so Allie, is a mother now and has a kid during the pandemic, her third child, and
mm,
is now consulting on the side. And I think, Lindsay came in it randomly at an amazing opportunity because, she was able to be trained by Allie in terms of, kind of a business development side because Lindsay's just a really dynamic person
mm.
to be on that side as well, and which is what she does now. But she also is operational and she also wanted to learn about the business. And so we put her on a team where she was more the project manager so she could understand. And I think that's it. Like it's just hands-on training. But then, when Allie left, Lindsay, asked Lindsay, I was like, this opportunities come up. Would you be interested? And she was like, heck yeah.
Oh,
So
wow. Yeah.
it's worked out amazingly. And, just recently my husband just joined the team and, we've just, I always told Allie, it's like she wore so many hats. And, as we grew, we definitely needed to grow her support and help. And, so, when Lindsay came on and took over Allie, I was like, we know we need to hire somebody else that's going to be more of the finance and help with the operations as well. And so my husband actually was at Google for 15 years, and he's always been a person I've confided in on the back end, and he was like, "Do you think now is the time?" And I'm like, "This is crazy, but sure, why not? Let's try it out." So
Give up
now we
that
have,
good job with that benefits
yeah,
package and all that stuff. Let's put all our
yeah,
eggs in one basket.
yeah, I know, which is
It's a heavy
scary.
basket. We'll
Yeah.
carry it though.
Yeah, exactly. But I think that's it. Like
Yes.
you kind of always have to be uncomfortable with a good hire
Mm,
because they're going to be great and it's
mm,
going to only benefit you for in the end.
mhm.
And especially if you want to continue to grow, but also continue a great experience and just keep the missions and the values of what you and why you do what you do and what you love. When you're at a larger scale, you need more people
Yeah.
and I think that's the investment part. You're going to continue to have these moments of like, I'm not ready, but I'm just going to hire this person because I know they're worth it. I mean,
Yes.
yeah,
So, do
depending on,
you do exercises in your mind, Reagan, or on paper? I'm imagining where, when I just imagine the payroll for your 20 people, right? Like,
yeah,
again, I'm thinking about the Window Works payroll. I'm like, it is not, you know, if you think about it too much, you can't sleep, is the
no,
point, right?
exactly.
But
I don't.
you're right. But how
Yeah.
we sleep
Hmm.
is that we know our cost to be open number, right? And the
Yes.
cost to
Yep.
be open number includes that big, huge nut of payroll. And then from the cost to be open number, we translate into how much sales do we have to have every single month, and by the quarter, by the half year, by the third quarter, and obviously by the end of the year. And
Hmm.
we have months throughout the year where we don't hit the cost to be open number, but then
Hmm.
we have months throughout the year where we crush it 3 times.
Exactly.
Right? And so, but we're never without the complete, absolute knowledge of what both are, because you have to know that if no matter how great somebody is, you got to come up with the dollar bills,
Yeah,
right?
you gotta hit payroll. You got payroll. You have to pay the payroll.
Exactly, exactly. So when you think about Allie in the beginning and now Lindsay, their roles are not necessarily, I'm assuming they're not billable hour roles.
Correct.
Right,
Right.
okay. But what they do is, and I want you to just confirm for me and maybe extrapolate on it, what they do is they increase the efficiency of the team and the billable hours people so that they can spend more time on billable hours. Like, what's the,
Yep.
for the person out there who's saying, yeah, I don't know about this. Like, I don't see how
Yeah.
I can pay a $100,000 salary to
Got
somebody
it,
that's
yeah.
not bringing me actual design projects. Like, talk
Right.
about that, right?
Yeah, so I will say that, when Allie started, it was more, she was also doing billable work. And I think that's something that you kind of have to be flexible with.
Mm,
And, one of the things that I think that's remarkable about my firm is I bring on people, not just designers. You don't have to have a design background. If you work in the tech industry, you always, if you are a can-do person, you're going to be able to provide a different insight on how to do business better, and probably just a different approach, especially if a lot of our clients are these people. But I will say that when Allie came on board, there was what, five of us, and so she was a project manager while she was also helping on the operations
mm,
business side. So we were able to bill her time, and she was a phenomenal. In fact,
mm.
she would have loved to just do that,
Oh,
but it's not that she didn't. She also loved the business
right.
and the marketing side too. So,
Yeah.
but she's a phenomenal project manager, and I think that that's it. Like if you don't have to have a design background to help project manage. I mean, half of what we do is just operational and in getting
Logistics.
implementation and logistics. Exactly, calling people and saying, "Where are you?"
Right, right.
Why aren't these installed
Herding
yet?
the
Or what?
cats.
Yes, herding the cats. Exactly. But I definitely think that Allie's a, approach, anybody who's going to be hired on as kind of a director of operations, you should look at them as a small team is also billable, and I think that's it. Like that's your kind of sweet spot. Then of course as you grow, Lindsay's not billable. I mean,
Right.
there's she is, if we do have like a meeting every Monday where if she's sitting in because we need help or something, then she'll bill for her time, but it's very, very minimal.
Right.
But most of the time, I would say if you're starting out, just find somebody who is operational, but also can help out and be billable. So that helps offset some of the cost. But yeah, I think from payroll perspective and being able to understand, I think a lot of it again is it's that ROI. It's the investment in training. You have to
Mm,
understand that you're always going to be training. You're always going to be writing off money, but it's all for making your process, your experience, the client's experience better, and
mm. 'Cause that's
making
what
your
turns over the referrals and the
that's
repeat business.
exactly right.
Right,
Yep.
right. That
Training,
investment,
training,
yep.
training. And
Love it.
that's if that means they have to, you know, be on the team and not bill, that's okay. We
Right.
have if we it's really important. I think the more I've, been in business, the more I realize the importance of
Mm,
training and having to invest and write that money off. And it's
mm.
okay. It always works out for the good.
Right. I love it. I love it. And the thing is that, I also noticed that you said in there because I've had these conversations, particularly with my chairman of the board clients. It's the one on one year long coaching program I do, Reagan, with designers, with the principal owners of
Oh,
firms. Yeah. And, yeah.
I didn't
And
know
yes. And the
that.
thing is, I have said on more than one occasion to more than one chairman of the board, I don't know that your operations person, whatever you want to call them, director of ops, your integrator, your right hand person, your executor, I don't care what you name them. I don't know that they need to have a design background.
Yeah.
And, I get different levels of resistance on it. And, I agree with you. It's organizing the business, and
Yep.
business is business.
That's
You
exactly
have to
right.
learn a little bit, like just like I've had to learn um, some of the more nuanced parts of the design process in order to be able to be a valuable mentor to designers in my chairman of the board program, right? Like sometimes they
Mhm.
know the ones that are listening, like, I know. Like I'm like, okay, wait, start over again. You do what? How? Right. And then I'm like, tell me that whole process. And what happens is, quite frankly, I'm always hearing it as a client would hear it because I'm not a
Oh,
fellow
that's true.
designer. So there's
Yeah.
no shorthand in the conversation. You're not
Right.
saying one sentence and I'm taking in 3 different ideas. I'm still going, "No, that doesn't make sense. That doesn't
Mhm.
make sense." And I'm saying to them, "If you can't make it make sense to me, guess who else it's not making sense
Yeah,
to?"
for sure.
Because I've been in the industry 40
The
years.
clients,
You know
yeah.
what I'm
Mhm.
saying?
Yeah.
And so that little disconnect of not having been a designer impacts that, but I've also just said, look, business is business. I could sit this podcast. I say it all the time. We could be talking to bricklayers, right? And so, I have believed that an effective director of ops does not have to come from the industry. And I'm so
Yeah.
glad that somebody smart like you is confirming me on that.
Yeah, I think if they're interested in the industry, and I think
Right.
that's all it is, if they're curious. I think anybody who's curious wants to and appreciates the
Enjoys it,
industry,
right? Enjoys
enjoys
it.
it.
Right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And I mean, really, their job is to help design a business. And
Right.
so it's like that, and that's kind of where they get excited about it. So
Right.
if you've got that person who enjoys design, but also enjoys designing a business, then that's
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
You
That's
don't
so
need the
good.
design. Yeah.
I love that. I love that so much. I mean, to me, it's always been logical because, like, I don't know, you go to school for marketing and you get a marketing degree. Can you only go market one company? Like,
Yeah,
you can
exactly.
only be a marketer in the pet industry? Like,
Right, no.
somehow you
Yeah,
figure it out, right?
yeah,
Because
yeah,
marketing is marketing, and there's some nuance for the pet industry versus the hair salon industry, but,
yep.
you're a smart person, you'll figure it out, right? And I feel
Yeah,
the same way when you hire that director of ops, that right-hand
yeah,
person.
yep,
So glad to know that your experience is the same in that. And now
yeah,
I wanna it's so funny because 40 minutes ago, we decided that the show was gonna be about hiring your clients, and now it's turned into building a team here, okay? Which is so valuable, but to go back to the initial kind of premise,
yeah,
because all of this does connect, but
it
to go
does.
back to that premise, is there criteria in your mind for, because look, look, I've had Window Works customers for years. Literally, there's a couple of customers out there, 3 or 4 of them that about every 2 years will just call again. "Hey, if you're
That's awesome.
hiring and you need help," right?
Yeah.
And the thing is, I know in my mind the ones that I'm like, "Mm-mm, no. You're an
Right.
amazing client and you're a fun person, but no,
Yeah,
no, because there's different things that, different people like. So, one thing might be that you just don't think they're going to have a grasp for that we actually run a profitable business. And that means we made a lot of money on your project.
yeah,
You know what
yeah,
I'm
yeah,
saying?
yeah,
And
yeah.
so, talk to me about what either you actually had as internal criteria or in hindsight you could say these were the things that I think were in place and why I was able to, jump off that bridge and hire a client.
Let's see. So I, I think I'm trying to think if it is going back to kind of both for everybody. I've got a librarian stylist who also is on the team.
See, this is crazy. I've never met any designer that has hired this many clients. And
I
so
know. Well,
there's something there. And maybe it's been intuition and maybe it's been gut, you know what I mean?
yeah,
But there's something like it, and maybe you got to think about it, but
yeah.
there's red flags that you would or wouldn't do and what were the good things that you thought, you know what, pass go, collect $200. Let's have that interview. Right?
Yeah, I think it's they're huge advocates for you.
Mm.
And the experience they had, they just want to keep having.
Mm.
They also want to support you as a business and as a human being. Um, and talk about it, on
Mm.
a more regular basis. They want to, they text you. They maybe want a relationship, I guess, is maybe what I'm thinking.
Mhm.
But I think a lot of it, they have one of these, I guess the common denominator for all of these people have just been the fact that they love me, support me, and believe in what I do and what I want to
Mm,
create, and really appreciate, I think, the service that we provide, and want to be a part of a, of it and grow it to even better refinement
mm.
level. And I think, one of my recent hires is the librarian stylist, who's helping me. She enjoys shopping. I mean, and she's so organized. She like gardens. I mean, I don't know if you've read read our her bio on our website, but she loves gardening, and that's kind of how
Yes.
she approaches organization and styling. So it's, you kind of, I think all of these people are organized in a sense, but they also love design and they
Mm,
love servicing people.
mm,
And the fact that you can get that just through a relationship from, I think they also really valued us as a service and design firm,
mm.
and just, one of them at Lindsay, we actually did two of her houses, and the entire team, she had two experiences on two different teams. We're structured RBD in three different teams, and she worked with two of the teams, two different senior designers, and had a great experience for both. And that just says
Wow.
a lot,
That does say a lot for you. That does
for
say a
me.
lot for you.
Exactly.
Yes.
Well, for me, I mean, and also just the team. And I
Of
think,
yes, of the way you run your
yeah,
company. Yes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And
100%.
just, the process is there, the standards, the operations, the service, the attention to detail.
Mhm.
We want everybody and every one of our clients to remember us
Mm,
and know us, that we are the people and the firm, that if you want a great job on your house and you want it done in a orderly fashion and quick, not quick, but like, organized, where we're moving the process forward, we're the people. So
I love it. I love it. So good. I mean, Reagan, honest to goodness, it's so fun and exciting for me to have a conversation with someone like yourself. I mean, I just have such a deep admiration for strong leadership and effective leadership and quality team building. It's funny because these different employees came to you as clients because of their admiration for your process and the way that you executed their design, and that the way they could see that it was a well-oiled machine and all of those things. And it's like it was so impressive to them, they wanted to be in a part of it. And I have that same experience when I meet somebody like yourself that is such a fantastic leader and does all the things and really goes out of their way to create that mission, vision, core values, live by it, that I'm like, I want to work for you. Like
yeah,
like I get there, you know what I mean? I'm just like, and
yeah.
it's
Aw.
it's not about like how you design. It's like I want to just sit and watch you lead. You know what I'm saying?
Aw. Well, yeah, and I think that's really kind. I think too that, one of the things that I think all of these people too and have done and still are continuing to do is they want to make you better. And
Yes.
even, any relationship I have, I'm constantly, thinking that this person is going to give me something I don't have or that I need, a skill
Mm.
set. And I think all of these people who've come, they all make me better. We can all be crazy and we can be people who, you know, get set in our ways or want to get set in our ways, and they make you rethink things. And
Mm.
I think I'm open to that type of thing. I actually appreciate that. And I think a lot of these people, I think maybe realized that that's kind of the way I like to operate. And so they bring challenging things to the table, just because they know that I'll listen and potentially even implement something that they think it would be better. And I think, Allie, for example, I never wanted to have part-time employees. And I do now because I'm a mother of children and a female. And I want moms to be able to come and work
Mm.
here and do what they love, because so many moms out there are doing an amazing job at motherhood, but they
Right.
also have such a skill set in design, and they're worth it for me.
Wow.
So anyways, there's a lot of things that I think I wouldn't have done had I not hired these people, and I
Mm.
probably would be too rigid and rigorous. I'm a lot more flexible now
That's
because of these
awesome.
people.
That's also,
Yeah.
another really outstanding trait of a leader is knowing when to look around and listen to what somebody else is saying. Like other ideas are good. You know what I
Yeah,
mean?
it's true.
Other
Yeah.
ideas are good.
Other ideas are actually great. This is a great idea, but this one's even better.
That's right. Oh my goodness, that's awesome. I just love it. I appreciate you so much for coming here on the show and talking about your team. And you guys have to go take a look at the website and look at all the beautiful faces that she's got on this amazing team of hers and the work that they create together. It's been my pleasure, Regan, getting to know you. Thank you so
You
much.
as well. I mean, I had such a great conversation. I'd love to do this again sometime. It was they're very easy to talk to, so it's awesome. Thank you so much.
It is challenging to run a large team. At WindowWorks, we're 16 people, so I get it. And I have to say, I admire Reagan's journey, the decisions that she made along the way, like that decision to hire Allie. She recognized Allie's potential, and she admitted that, in order to hire Allie, she ended up paying her more than she was paying herself. You have to know. And if you don't, give it some thought. Think about this. This is not a decision you make lightly. Okay. What I want to point out is it's not a cookie cutter decision, meaning because it worked out for Regan, because she did it, you don't automatically say, well, this is what happens in business. No, this is a gutsy decision. And you have to consider all sides before you jump into this. And so what I'm actually saying, bottom line is, I recognize and I commend you, Regan, for having the courage to do this and for what I'm sure was an exercise in listening to your inside voice. Okay? Now, challenging to find and hire valuable employees and to nurture them once you have them. So if you're looking for conversations on these, I encourage you to check out the episodes with Eileen Hahn and Dwayne Bergman. We will put the links in the show notes. Okay? You heard all of the benefits that Allie brought to Regan Baker Design. She moved things forward. She was great at hiring. She exemplified concise communication. But what Allie recognized and was most impressed with, that Allie genuinely wanted to share Regan's business and her values with the world. And Regan said, I couldn't put a price tag on that. Also recently, we had Fernando Duque, the founder of Duke Renders, on the show, and that's episode number 823. He talked about this stage of doing everything, of wanting to do everything, and he talked about that transition to stop DIYing your business. This is that same thing. So if you heard that episode, this is just what happened here. Regan decided to stop DIYing this management part of her business. And just like Fernando said, it's exactly what happened to Regan. Her business up-leveled because of it. All right? So I would check out that episode with Fernando, too, for more conversation on that. All right. Lindsay was another past client of Regan's, and she saw in her the potential. And when the opportunity came, she went for it. Right? The two takeaways that I also want to make sure you really focus on here is that you don't always have to hire someone who comes from an interior design background, right? That's clear. Okay. Secondly, is that, at least this is second for Regan, is that when the client is a huge advocate of you and your business and they want to support you and make you better, it feels right. It feels good for Regan. Okay. I have great admiration for entrepreneurs like Regan and like you, business owners who demonstrate strong leadership. It's a learned skill. You can invest in yourself for personal development. You can do it along the way. You can listen to podcasts like mine and others. But ultimately, the success of your business will depend on the strength of you as its leader. Okay? All right. Thank you, Regan, for this great, fun conversation. Your story, your strong, effective leadership, and this quality, approach to team building that you've got, and looking at all the eyeballs as possibilities. I think it's pretty cool. Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you are powering down, if you're listening to this in real time, for the end of the year and taking some time to rest and relax. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of Luann Nigara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or Luann University, go to luannnigara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to windowworksnj.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.